So if you didn't know, Carlos Lachlan, Ohio State's running backs coach, he is a passionate guy. He coaches his guys hard. He made sure to let us know that today. We got a chance to talk to Carlos Lachlan and the running backs, and I think it's an interesting position group because we saw what the method was, what the template, whatever you want to phrase it, for Ohio State's running backs is with Carlos Lachlan running that room. It's a pretty good division of the workload. We saw with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson running for 1,000 yards each en route to Ohio State winning a national title, and I'm interested to see how it plays out this year, and that's what we're going to talk about here. That's Andrew, I'm Stefan. We're talking about the running back room and how they're going to divide up the workload, because Carlos Lachlan said, you guys keep saying two guys, because that's what Travion and Quinshon was. He's like, I got 6 guys in that room that could do it. Now, obviously, Ohio State isn't going to divide up reps equally amongst 6 running backs. A very talented group, but there is some pecking order there. Someone's going to get a bigger workload than others. But I'm open to this idea of it not being 2. And maybe it's like 1 and then like 2A, 2B, or like 1A, 1B, and then a pretty significant 2. I think the trio is James Peoples, C.J. Donaldson, and Bo Jackson. How do you think they're going to divide that up this year?
Yeah, I think when you look at the running back tandem of Travion and Quinshon, one of the things that Lachlan said was last year's last year. And like you said, you keep pointing at all this, that, and the other. It's, he was very, very quick and frankly very, very forceful to just say, that's not now. That's not this. And that's who Lachlan is as a person. But I think when you talk about the running back room, it's not just you lose 2 top 40 NFL draft picks. Travion had blazing speed and is no longer here. And Quinshon, as the NFL Combine showed us, had great speed, but he was also kind of more of a powerful back, whereas Travion definitely kind of had that pass-catching element to him. Do you have that this year? I don't know. I don't know. So I think what you're trying to figure out right now is what roles these guys fit into. Something that was kind of hit on today was that, C.J. Donaldson, he has a past, like growing up as a receiver. And, he talked about kind of growing up in that mold of just, hey, I've done this before, I can do it, but I let those guys be that receiver. Is he your receiving back? I think that's probably what you want to do. So I think it's all role dependent for me. And right now, as I had to look at it, I would probably say, I think James Peoples is going to have a really good year, but I don't know if he necessarily fits that archetype of Quinshon or Travion. CJ might be a pass catcher, but he does not fit that archetype of Travion Henderson for me just because you don't have that speed. So I think you're probably talking, maybe a similar split. I do think Bo Jackson might be more involved than James Peoples was last year. James Peoples had 49 carries last year. I wonder if Bo is a little bit more involved there. Maybe that's upwards of like 75. How does that take the load off? But I think we're going to have a genuine kind of 3-person rotation here, which is, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And then every once in a while, you're going to work in that third. And I think that's going to be Bo Jackson. So I think that's probably the answer to your question. You have a 1A, you have a 1B, and then you have a 2 that kind of is right in the mix, and your 2 is technically Bo Jackson, the third running back.
Yeah, I think what's interesting with this room too is there's an element to Travion that you also lose in the pass pro, and that's going to be, I think, a big thing that factors into how many reps these guys get. We are in agreement that this is probably going to be not a pass heavy offense, but I think like, hey, what's your fastball? It's probably the passing game because of who the coordinator is, because of who the receivers are. There's going to be a lot of passing snaps that these guys have to play. And to do that, you have to be able to do something close to the level of Travion. Now, Travion was maybe the best pass pro running back to come through college football since, who knows? It's been a while to be that great at it. Someone's going to have to step up in that facet as well. And I think that's kind of the challenge to this room of not only are you replacing them in terms of the workload, you're also replacing them in terms of things. I don't want to call it intangibles because it is a tangible thing, but a lot of that's coded with Travion from the experience, from the film room, knowing where to pick up the blitzes and things of that nature. That's going to be a test of if you can do that, you're going to get playing time. If you can't, then they're going to limit your snaps, and maybe that's kind of what divides up this workload. What ends up being kind of a deciding factor. So ultimately, you walk away from today reminding yourself that's a very talented running back room, and as tough as it may be to replace 2 second-round picks that went to the NFL draft and All-American caliber players, they have a room that's capable of doing it. Maybe there's not one guy that's as good as Quinshon or Travion, but in the total, I think you have a pretty good room. So we'll talk about that more on Buckeye Talk, wherever you get podcasts, and make sure you get the text 614-350-3315. We are 20-ish days away. 22 days away from the season opener, Ohio State versus Texas. James Peoples from Texas. Probably a pretty big game. It came down to, I think he said Texas was in his final 4 schools when he was going to the recruiting process. So that's going to be a big game for these running backs. Make sure you keep up with the text 614-350-3315. From Andrew, I'm Stefan. Thanks for watching.